So here I am again collecting soils for my PhD project. We're in Clumber Park, which is in Sherwood Forest in England, and it's another rubbish day. The sun's out, but it's pretty windy. The only thing that can stop me is proper snow on the ground. If it's torrential rain, I'm still going to be out here. So these are just my labels to make sure that when I do all my analysis in the lab, everything is done on the same soil and corresponds to the same soil sample. I've done this soil collection before, but I was looking at nutrients before. This time I'm looking at something a bit different. I'm looking at enzymes. I'm going to get as far beneath the heather bush as I can, because if you think about it, this heather bush here is using this soil around here. So because I'm looking at the enzymes in relation to the heather, I want to make sure I collect it as close as possible. So I just move it out of the way, get a really nice load of soil there, and get the first centimetre. This is really nice soil. It's really sandy, so I sieve it, and it's going to go through that sieve pretty nicely. This is just sieving to make sure that I get all the roots out that I don't want. Now I've got my nice sieved soil, I stick it in a bag and I move on to the next one. I need to get soil from the first 1 centimetre because that's where the activity of the phosphatase is going to be at its greatest. And the plant will grow on the top of the soil, it'll push its roots through, and there'll be what's called a rooting zone. And the rooting zone, depending on what the soil is like, will be quite high. So I want to get the best enzyme activity I can. Once I've collected this soil, I try and keep it cool to make sure the enzymes still work and the microbes are still doing their job. I take it back to the lab and I analyse it for two things. One is the enzyme activity itself, and the other is I need to relate that to how many microbes are in the soil. These enzymes make sure that certain amounts of phosphorus or nutrients are available to plants. Plants can't just take up any nutrients. They need to have them in a certain way. It's just like us digesting food. We can't have little bits of potato running around in our blood. We need to make sure they're available to us to use as energy for growth. That's the same way plants work, and they use enzymes just as we do in our intestines. So they can't necessarily make these enzymes and release them, what some can, into the soil. Heather uses microbes and fungi to make these enzymes, and these enzymes digest raw phosphorus and then they release phosphorus or nutrients that can be used by the plant into the soil, and the plant takes them up. I've got 26 sites because I'm trying to look at the state of heathland across the whole of the British mainland. So I'm comparing all of these sites to various things, which might be management by humans, damage by humans, where they are in the UK, rainfall. It is a pretty lonely job when you're on your own. It's good fun, I'm not complaining. I get to go to the most beautiful places around the UK. I get to be in the outdoors, which is fine except when it's raining. Sometimes a colleague will come with me. I can convince one of my friends to come with me for payment. Every now and again I'll get somebody come up to me and ask what I'm doing, a curious member of the public. Normally they'll ask some pretty interesting questions. Dogs will always come up because they see somebody kneeling down in the middle of a field and they're not normally happy about that. It's not just the soil that I'm looking at necessarily. All the soil I'm working on is related to this plant, essentially. This is heather, Calluna vulgaris, and it's a relatively rare plant. All the sites I go to, it's all over the place. but across the UK and across the world, it's rare, and that's because heathland, where heather grows, is disappearing and has disappeared over the last few decades, and that's mainly due to pollution. It's not just the heather that's important. There's all sorts of other animals that grow in heathland and like to be in heathland. Within Britain, all our reptiles and amphibians are in heathland. There are 300 species of spider. There are a number of birds like nightjar and things like that only really habitat they like to be in is heathland. So if we lose the heather, we lose all these other animals that grow in it. The dirt that I collect is important because it gives us an idea of what impact we are having and what impact the environment is having on the soil and on the plants, and as a result on everything else that's on heathland. My family are not scientists, so they find it funny that I go around and collect dirt. I try to explain to them what I'm doing, but dirt isn't the most exciting of things to somebody who's not a scientist. But they like me to do it. They know I love doing it. They know I do other things with my job. I don't just go around collecting dirt.